Greetings and salutations, viewers. Welcome to Book Expo 2018. I am here for yet another author interview, this time with Anne Wheaton. Thank you for taking a few minutes out to talk about your book.
Thank you for having me.
So your book recently released this year, but we were hoping to learn about just what is your book all about?
My book is about a pug who is in search of a new family and a pig who's searching for a new friend, and it's their journey to when they meet.
Very nice. And what was your creative process like bringing this story to life?
The pug character is based off of an orange tabby cat that followed me home when I was 5, and we found out that the people that owned him have moved away and left him.
Aww.
And so as a little kid, I saw this animal who was connected to people, wanted to have a new family, so he went out in search of a new family. And I feel like little kids, like, they hear information and they're like, okay, what's next? You know, it's not like, I didn't think, oh God, we have to go find these people and give them their cat back.
Yeah.
I just saw this cat that was like, I want friends and I want a new family. And so that was my inspiration for writing it. It was also the beginning of my lifetime of getting rescue. I was going to say collecting because they literally found me. Of having rescue animals, of being an advocate for rescue animals, for being a responsible pet owner. I was a hairdresser for 17 years, but I stopped about 4.5 years ago, so I could do more with and for rescue animals. So I'm a director at the Pasadena Humane Society. I've been doing that now for about 4.5 years, like right after I stopped doing hair, I started doing that. So the book is a little bit of like my experience from when I was little, and then different rescue animals I've gotten along the way, but also my experience of working at the shelter and seeing, like when the housing market crashed, the shelter was full of animals that were owner turning, which was a super responsible thing to do. At first I was like, oh God, that's sad, but then I thought of the people who just drive away and leave their animal.
Yeah.
And so in a super adorable way, the book, there are other animals involved, and the book is to teach kids about empathy and friendship and family and pet owning responsibility. That doesn't necessarily have to be specific to animals. Like, I feel like teaching children empathy is kind of a thing that's getting lost. And I see a lot of stuff that's like, let's just make everything happy. But kids, I feel like it's so important for them to understand about empathy and loss and figuring things out along the way. And, you know, like Charlotte's Web does not necessarily have a happy ending, but it has a real ending. And I think that kids need to learn that and understand it. And so when I was little, I would have loved to have a book like this, to have a super basic understanding of what can happen and how important it is to animals to have that connection with, especially domesticated animals, to have that connection with people, but to teach at a young age the pet owning responsibility.
Very nice and admirable.
No, thank you. It makes me happy. Like, everything about this book is what little kid me would have wanted. So I wanted, picture books were always just like one picture and one line of text.
Yep.
And as soon as I learned to read, I felt like I outgrew the book. So this book has lots of text and illustrations. So I don't know if you can see it. So this is because I was such a visual person and I wanted to see lots of pictures. Because when books got, like when I was like 7 years old, I started reading Frog and Toad Are Friends as one of my favorites. And it would be like one little illustration and then several pages of text. So I was always looking back at the illustration because I was so visual. So I was like, someday I'm gonna have the book that is lots of pictures and plenty of text, so I could grow with the book instead of feeling like I immediately outgrew it when I learned how to read.
It's a good balance.
Yes, for sure. And I know it's just like, it's silly, but things like, when I was a kid, I hated books that had dust jackets on them because I'd always take them right off.
Yep.
So I made sure I had a book with no dust jacket, but also the thing I loved was if you laid it flat not all of them were like that, but when it was
Yeah.
like one full illustration, I don't know if you can see
It's
that.
always a nice touch.
Yes, it's just like little things like that. Having stronger pages, because I turn from the center every time and then I tear it. So I made thicker pages. So, I mean, I guess if a kid was super reckless, they could probably
Yeah.
still tear it. But I felt like I was careful with my books, and there were still things about it that weren't working for me as a kid. So as an adult, I made the book little kid me wanted.
That's a good way of going about it, though.
Yeah.
Were there any lessons or surprises that you learned while bringing this book to life that you might be able to share with our viewers?
One of the things that I wasn't really aware that was there was another underlying message in the story, which actually was my own experience of not really having a close-knit family where I didn't feel like I had a lot of support. And so I always just sort of figured I made my family out of people I met along the way that were my support and were someone that it was always someone I could count on. So the underlying message in this actually is that, because Pug goes out in search of a new family, and at the same time Piggy is searching for a new friend. And so they do end up getting to be together, and they both get exactly what they want, which is what I ended up doing with my own life. And I have talked to other resource teachers who they deal with kids who have no support at home, and they've always talked to the kids about make your family out of the people you know and love.
Yep.
And that they connected with the book that way. And that's how I was like, oh my God, I did the same thing. And so that was a totally unexpected thing, that it was like, of course that's what it is, because I first saw that with the orange tabby cat that followed me home. So he just went out and made a family of his own, and he chose us.
Sometimes that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
How many rescue animals have you had at this point, approximately then?
So that cat that followed me home when I was 5, that was my first one. And then I acquired a couple more over the years when I was younger. I would say probably 5, while I was a kid and living at home. And then out on my own, I have adopted from shelters. There's been a few times where I found a puppy that was dumped at a bus stop when she was 4 months old, and she was the best dog. She ended up being just the greatest dog. We didn't even have to train her to not leave my yard. She would just she knew that perimeter, she knew she got it good. She went from a bus stop to having a home, so she was like, I am not leaving. And I have found a puppy one time. I found a couple of cats that I fostered and found homes for, because as much as I want all the animals, my city limit maximum is 3 anyway. But also, I think another thing about being a responsible pet owner is knowing what you're capable of taking care of. It's not about getting all of them. It's about the quality of life you can give them. And so having 3 in my home was enough. And the ones that I fostered and found homes for, they're with my friends, so I can always see them, because I got so attached to them so quickly.
Yep.
I think it's great that there are people that can foster animals and then find good homes for them, because that is such an important service, and I don't know if I can do it because I get so attached so fast. But I currently have 2 dogs that I got adopted from Pasadena Humane Society, and a cat that came from a shelter in San Gabriel.
Very nice.
Yeah.
My wife and I already know we would be foster failures.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I tried. There was this beautiful kitten. I found her, she was 5 months old, and she and my younger dog did not get along. And I tried for about 10 months, and I immediately called myself foster failed, because she was so great, but they just butted heads all the time, and I could tell that was messing with the dynamic with them. And so then I felt like a foster I was a foster fill because I couldn't make it work, because that's the first time that it ever happened. She's in a great home with 2 other cats, and I'm glad that I had that opportunity. But now I know, like, I'm not going to mess with my dynamic. But yeah, I think it's great that there are people that can do it. Although you're going to fail if you do that.
Yeah.
You're just going to adopt him. Just call it adoption. Don't call it a foster.
Yeah. It balances out. We have a rescue dog and a rescue cat.
Oh, good.
So,
good.
but we have our balance.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's important to know. It's better to have good quality of life than the quantity that you
Yeah.
get, for sure.
For our viewers out there, where can they learn more about this book and purchase it?
Well, it is, I self-publish, and so I have a website called piggyandpug.com, and the book can be ordered directly on there. It's also on Amazon, and it's in a couple of independent bookstores in the U.S. currently. It is literally, I just got an email, my shipment is on the way to Amazon in Canada, and then on the way to Amazon UK.
Very
So
cool.
eventually it'll be getting out more into like bigger territory, but for now, just because it's only been out for a couple of months and
Yep.
I'm doing this on my own, it's been kind of a nice process, because I was nervous about going with a traditional publisher, and then it just like being so nuts busy with it.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed taking it to conventions and meeting people and talking with little kids and reading the story in schools and in bookstores and stuff, and having it work its way out at a pace that I can manage. It's been really fun. But yeah, so far, piggyandpug.com, Amazon, and a few independent bookstores.
Great. To our viewers out there, I highly encourage you to check this book out, purchase a copy, and after having read it, as we do with all authors, we recommend that you review it and post that review on Amazon, on Goodreads, on whatever site you prefer, so that it can raise the visibility of this book and help others find it and enjoy it.
I do know that it is on Goodreads. I've seen
Okay.
some reviews, and there are reviews on Amazon. I also have Piggy and Pug book on Facebook, and there's reviews on there as well.
There are your options.
Yay!
And until next time, viewers, as always, go be creative. Go read a book.
Do it.